everybody. Today I want to talk to you about a very important part of any data project, that is documenting your data model. Of course, I'm going to be talking to you about documenting a Power BI data model. And a huge call out to a guy called Datamark about an external tool that you can install into Power BI called Model Documenter. Here's his website. It's a community tool, it's free to use, and it's awesome. So I strongly recommend you start using it. So let's get into the demo. What I have here is a Power BI model and it's all about Ireland. That's great. And when I go publishing that up into Power BI, I can go up into Power BI in here and I can see there is my Ireland CSO model with all of my data that I want on it, which is great. The question is, what if I wanted to put a glossary with this model right in the hands of my end users, so whenever they have a question about a particular measure in here, they can go check the glossary and not have to phone up support or email someone or find a Word document buried inside in some SharePoint site somewhere. So how can we go about doing that? The key to it is model documenter and utilization of the description property inside in Power BI. So let's have a look at that. I'm inside my model. Here's my model. If I click on a table here, I can see how I have populated the description field. If I look at a specific measure, again, I can see that I have populated a description about that measure, description for this measure, for this table, etc. So basically the takeaway there is, as a developer, when you are doing a bit of work, be it on a field, on a measure, on a table, you should have some description about what is going on in here. Enough detail that a person can understand. I mean, if it's very complicated, you could obviously refer to some URL that they can go for into a deeper analysis of what's going on, but a short description will be very, very useful for most users to explain what's going on in a measure. So put it right into the Power BI model itself at the time that you're doing the development. If you do a bit of new development on top of it, just repeat the process. Once you've got that done, you are now going to go along and up in my external tools ribbon, you can see here how I've got model documenter. So I'm going to kick that off and you can see it kicks off a process which disappears after a couple of seconds. Now this will take about a minute to go through, okay? Because what Mark has written here is something that exports a Vertipack file out of your Power BI model. So essentially it gets the metadata out of your model, and then he builds a new Power BI model that uses that metadata as its data source. So you can see here how it's now refreshing against that file that he exported onto my desktop, onto my C drive. It's pulling in table information, column information, measure information, relationships. Nearly there now. And he's also built a whole set of reports that are going to be available to you. So here we go. So here's the reports on the right hand side. You can see the model that he's created. And along with here are the reports. General information, information about the tables inside in my model, information about the measures inside in my model, etc. So quite a detailed report about what's in my model. And that's great for developers. But actually, I don't necessarily want to publish this to my end users because I still think it'll probably be a little bit too much information for them. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. And I'm going to just save this as glossary. Glossary model. So that's saved. And now I'm going to go publishing that up to my particular workspace that I have. So now I'm publishing this up. No, I misspelled that. Apologies. Publishing that up to Power BI. Should be there in a couple of seconds. Cool. So let's have a look what I have now inside in my workspace. So now I've got my Ireland report, and I also have got now my new glossary model in here. I'm actually going to delete these reports because I don't want these reports in my workspace. I'm going to delete those. But what I have is the underlying data model that Mark has also produced for me. So now I'm now going to go back to another report that I have here. And this is a pre-made report, very simple one-page report, suitable for end users. I'm just going to update its data source now to point to my new glossary model that I pushed in there. And I'm now going to go save in this. Sorry, I'm just going to go publish in this. Yes, save my changes. Publish it into Model Documenter. And that's up there. So again, let's look at my workspace. So now inside my workspace, I've got my Ireland CSO reports, and now I got a new report in here called Model Documenter Glossary. Could probably give it a better name, all right? Ireland CSO Glossary. But when I go looking inside here, I now have a list of all the tables that are in my model. When I go clicking on it over here, I get my table definition. When I go looking at an individual measure, I get a measure description, and I also get the measure technical or the DAX calculation for it as well. I can search for, if it's quite a large model, I can narrow it down to a specific table and again go through. So I'm really making it easy for an end user to navigate this. The last thing that we're going to do in here then is, because I like using apps to present my reports to end users, is I'm going to do an update of my app. You can see it's automatically set to include an app. Update my app, update my app, update. And now let's test that. So now from an end user experience, they're going to their app to find out information about whatever model you've produced for them. And then just at the bottom of the app, they've got a section in here, which is a glossary about all the information that's contained inside that app. So very simple, very quick to produce, almost automated. There is a manual step if you have to run that export yourself or run the model document export yourself. But really that should become second nature to a developer once they get into the habit of setting the descriptions, making whatever changes they're going to be making to their data model, and then routinely running the model documenter, getting that new model, publishing it up to the workspace as they would do with the model that they're currently developing on, and that way keep their glossary up to date. I hope you find this useful. Thanks very much for listening. Talk to you again. Bye.